All right. Are we live? Are we live? We are. Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Namek, and welcome to tonight's cooking and chatting stream. Taking a little bit of break from gaming, but I will resume that tomorrow, of course, in which we will play Five Nights at Wario's. The last one. The fifth one. I don't remember the name. And then we'll be done with that series, hopefully. Anyways, tonight I'm gonna cook something that is very easy, which is just some pork chop, some mashed potato, and then some garnishes while I yap about random shit. Hello, Zaki. Hello. Welcome. You are early today. Welcome by. Nothing too bad. Is that you, Ned?
Yep.
All right, welcome. No gaming tonight, but I surely am ready to yap. So, take notes if you like. Want to feel free to follow me along on my cooking journey. There you go. I'm just making some mashed potatoes in the pork chop. That's it. Very simple.
But yeah, you said last night it was going to be just chatting stream.
Yep. Just you'll notice that streamers have a tendency to repeat themselves. You understand why.
Yeah.
If only I have access to my microwave, then the mashed potato would be much easier to make. But no, instead I gotta make it this way. By the way, if you don't know what this is just basically milk and shredded potatoes. That's it. Usually I cook this in the shredded potato in the microwave to make it go faster, but my microwave is all the way in my kitchen. And because I am cooking in my living room, I don't have access to that. Because if I linked my microwave here, I think my PC, or rather my electrical outlet, is going to explode. I'm already having this here is already putting a strain on it. And because I used to run a restaurant, I tried two of these stoves in one outlet, and it fried the circuit. Anyways, how's everyone doing? Feel free to stay back. This is going to be more of a podcast. Feel free to join the Discord and chat with me if you like, or throw me a talk if you like. But in order to start this conversation, I like to discuss something that I really want to talk about, which is one of my favorite series of all time. And that is the Mass Effect series. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with that series, but it is one of EA's most achieving crowns. It is one of the best sci-fi RPGs of all time, in my opinion. Great stories, great combat, and it had 4 games. Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, and lastly, Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, before you guys know, I'll tell you something a little bit about myself. And it's that I was never really a fantasy kind of guy. I was never really into the Lord of the Rings or Mordor or whatever. And I certainly was not into sci-fi. I tried giving Star Wars a shot, but it was just kind of confusing to me. I thought it was just a bunch of guys, warrior monks, fighting each other with glowing sticks. A bunch of white dudes trying to be agents, and instead of, cool swords like from China, they're playing with glowing futuristic glow sticks. So I was never really into that. And no, I have never gave Star Trek a try either, although I heard it's good. So Mass Effect actually has a very, very, is actually the first sci-fi entertainment that I was ever interested in. So it means a lot to me. I first played it when I was in college, believe it or not. And I still remember to this day the copy that I bought. When I first heard about it, I was actually still a kid, obviously, and I saw the score for it. And back then, I guess IGN was still somewhat of a reputable source, and they gave the game a 9.5. And when I saw that score, my eyes were lit. That is a very, very hard score to get from IGN. Of course, we know how that turned out for a lot of games. They also give Call of Duty and the other games 9.5 and stuff. But it had me intrigued. But not enough to get me to buy it. So what did I do? I went on YouTube and looked at the trailer. And the trailer got me so hyped that I went to my local GameStop and bought the game. The first thing about any game for me or any sort of entertainment media has always been the music, and that music really sold me. And it was actually not Mass Effect 1, it was actually Mass Effect 2. And so I didn't know anything about the series. I thought, I was like, oh, maybe I can just play it as Mass Effect 2 as it is, right? So what happened? I went to GameStop and bought Mass Effect 2 for PC. And that was a big mistake because I did not have a gaming PC. I bought a full game at $60 and I could not play it. So I was pissed. It wasn't until later I got back home and I got my 360 to my to school because my parents obviously didn't let me take it to school, to my dorm, that I decided that I saved enough and went and bought the Xbox 360 version. And let me tell you, my life was changed. It instantly became one of my favorite games of all time. And back in the day, I'm sure you guys heard about this feature. It's called DLC. It wasn't as common as before though, but Mass Effect is actually the first game I've ever actually bought DLC for a game before, because that was just so new to me. I did not feel like putting my credit card in my Xbox account or anything like that. I never paid for it, and you know, I just didn't feel comfortable. Is that you, Shuyan? Welcome. Good to see you. What am I cooking? This is gonna be my mashed potato, although I think I put too much milk in there, but that's fine. Just gotta cook it out slowly. And bonjour, Deflect. Welcome, welcome. I was just yapping about my favorite series. And where was I? I was gonna say that, yeah, I played Mass Effect 2, played it again, and then I went to GameStop, bought the first one, played it, and then played the second one again. That's how much I love that series. And then of course I played the third one. It has its issues, but I still enjoyed it, especially the ending. But afterwards, I thought the series just took a nosedive in quality, both in terms of, especially in terms of writing. If you never played Mass Effect before, it's really about it's really about the writing. The gameplay is actually quite good. It's a third-person RPG shooter, which I enjoyed quite a bit. It's not too difficult, but people loved it for the writing and the character and the world building. I was just so fascinated by the lore, the culture of different species, like the Krogans, the Geth, the Quarians. Oh, I can go on and on and on. Shuyan is saying your school's gonna end in a week? Well, congratulations, my man. I hope you enjoy your summer. Although I know you are somewhere in Asia, summer is pretty short for you guys. Unlike us in the US, I believe summer break is like 3 months, which is astronomically long. But then again, you guys also have cram school, I think. It's winter. Unless you are in Australia. Well, we're in the US. It's getting hot out there, by the way. And believe it or not, June is almost over. We only got 10 days to go. If you guys know what I'm doing, I'm basically cooking potatoes in milk and breaking it down to make mashed potatoes. This is usually how I cook it. Well, usually how I cook it is with the microwave and then add milk, but I don't have access to my microwave right now. Gotta cook on this low heat because milk burns really easily and you gotta keep stirring it. Anyways, where was I? Ah, yes, Mass Effect. And then Mass Effect Andromeda came out. Oh man, my arms are tired. And that is one Mass Effect I've never played, because the drama surrounding 3 at the end really set everyone ablaze. I was actually one of them. I was not happy with the ending. I was quite confused, irritated, but I was not angry. I was more disappointed, if you know what I mean. 4C at night, that's 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not too bad. That's like a cool summer, you know, autumn night for us in Texas right here. That's not too bad. In fact, that's perfect temperature for me. Anyways, I did not play Andromeda, and if you heard any news about that game, it sort of more or less became a meme. People made fun of it. It was full of glitches, terrible writing, stupid characters, dumb dialogues, and I think one of them was the actual dialogue was, "My face is tired." That is actually a line in the game. I don't know who wrote that, of course. It doesn't snow in your city, Shuyan? Well, I kind of miss that because in my opinion, snow is quite overrated. Okay? Snow is very overrated. It looks cool from the outside and you might have fun with it for the first couple of days. Then it just gets dull. Can't go anywhere. In Texas, if there's snow, everything gets shut down. And everyone starts driving like they're in Mario Kart. I never go out during snow. Anyways, so the reputation for Mass Effect was quite bad. And I'm talking about it because they are, I think it was about a year or two ago when they released a teaser for Mass Effect. As in, the actual line says, Mass Effect will continue. Whew, that got me worried. That really got me worried. You know why? Because it is EA. It was, the developer was called BioWare. Unfortunately, EA, like EA does, bought up the company. And they bought it right when they helped develop Mass Effect 2, which is what I was surprised about. And then Mass Effect 3, I started to see the writing on the wall a little bit, even though I still liked it. But they started focusing more on multiplayer and microtransaction and stuff. So when Andromeda came out, it was just a big giant mess. And then BioWare, I think they made something called Anthem, or was it Destiny? I can't remember. It was one of those shooters that it just flopped like hell. And we never really heard from them again. Until that teaser, of course. They showed a picture of one of the characters I really liked. Name's Liara. And that's it. It's been 2 years. No news. Until I saw an article that says that there's going to be a Mass Effect TV show. Which, I believe it or not, I am going to tune in for that. However, the look for the continuation for the game is dubious. And as a fan of the series, I think it's better to just let it die, not continuing it. You know why? Because one, I don't trust the writers at EA or BioWare that is now because of the cultural differences. There's too many political correctness in the gaming industry, and right now with all these funky writings, whether you enjoy it or not, Mass Effect, I mean, there's like talks about genocide and about all these different things that are very culturally sensitive. So I'm not exactly sure if the writers can pull that off with today's political climate without offending someone or getting canceled or something. So it's better to just let it die in a TV show rather than continue it as a video game. That said, if there is somewhat of a glimmer of hope for the series, I don't think they should continue the series. In my opinion, that ending that they did back in Mass Effect 3 was questionable, and I'd rather not have the 3 choices or 4 choices you have as the ending. In fact, I would much prefer if EA just rebooted the series, as in they remastered the trilogy, and it's on the Steam. It's on Steam, and I bought it, by the way. I bought it for my PS4. I enjoyed playing it through the entire series again with all the DLC, which I've already played anyway. But if they're gonna have to do something a little bit more rather than just remaster. They're gonna have to actually remake, and in fact probably rewrite some of the characters. Probably seeing that, to me, is probably much safer than anything else. Shuyan's asking, am I gonna play the Deltarune chapters? Of course I am. I just have to finish up a few of the games that I've been obligated to play. One of them is Five Nights at Wario's. I finished 4 yesterday, so tomorrow I'm going to be finishing 5. I know Deflex said that there's Origins, or what is it? The first one? I think I will be playing that off stream, and based on what I'm seeing, I think I still have my save files. I don't know if it's worth it all, if just for the lore dump, because the lore seems a little bit crazy to me. You want to buy them, but I have no money to your name? Xiuyan, I'm in the exact same position as you are. It's just that I was able to buy Deltarune, and I can't buy Secrets of the Mimic, FNAF, because I saved up. I couldn't buy any other games, not even like the ones for like $5 to $10. It sucks. Trust me. Life is not that great in the US either. However, I'd rather be here than in my home country of my mother country of China. It's even worse over there. Way worse.
But yeah, I do understand really being invested in a game series. I'm like that with FNAF. Like, I absolutely love that series, if you couldn't tell.
I can. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Secrets of the Mimic, though. I've not seen any gameplay. The only spoilers that I had, obviously, were thumbnails and what we played so far. But I feel like Security Breach is such a divergent, both in terms of gameplay and design, that from the original, that I'm worried where it's gonna go. Because right now, mascot horror is pretty big. Hey, Shuyan's gonna get a job next year. Good luck to you, man. Don't work yourself out. Anyways, what was I saying? It's, in my opinion, right now, the king of the mascot horror genre right now is probably Poppy Playtime. Just because not only is it scary, the lore is pretty interesting. There's no multi-dimensional stuff, at least I hope not. And despite the flaws I had with Chapter 4, I still think Chapter 3, 2, 1 were a great start. Also, the gameplay is much more, in my opinion, a bit engaging. Where FNAF, old FNAF, used to be like a horror resource simulator. I don't really know what to expect from Security Breach. Is just I don't know, roaming around, free roaming. The thing is, it's kind of an a contradiction, because the word free roaming means you can go anywhere, or rather, you have the freedom to hide here and give you all that options, right? You can hide in Freddy, you can hide in the trash can, or the laundry basket, or whatever. The thing is that it takes away a lot of the horror elements in there, because it makes you feel kind of empowered. If you guys saw my Security Breach gameplay, I actually had to not rely on Freddy, because Freddy is so easy for me to get. It's like a free out of jail, getting out of jail card. Oh, hello, Willie's fan of FNAF Plays. Welcome, Willie. Right now, we're just doing some cooking, and good timing, because I am just talking about the FNAF series. I think Scott Cawthon right now is more focused on the movies rather than the games itself. I think he gave the right to Steelwool. Correct me if I'm wrong. And while I don't hate what they've done with this series, they haven't done too many things that are that original. And I still remember the Pizzaplex being a big ass confusing maze. The map was not helpful. I still remember that Freddy told me, "Hey, Gregory, go here. I have just marked this on your map." Well, I checked my Fazbear watch and nothing's marked. So I don't know whether Freddy was trolling me or not, or it was just bad gameplay design. But Security Breach does have its fair shares of, good qualities, because it's the goofiness. As in, Five Nights at Freddy's was more scary, and then there's some parts of goofiness. And in Security Breach, I feel like they went the opposite direction, which is there's more goofiness than scariness factor. It went from like a PG-13 to maybe a PG or rated G for general audience. When was the last time you seen me? Maybe a few days ago, Willie. Maybe, I don't know. You tell me. Hey guys,
Okay,
yeah, Dad, feel free to join the conversation. I can tell you want to say something.
yeah. Back to so Scott does still write the games. He's just not as involved, but he does write them still.
Well, we
And-
don't. I'm not gonna question that, but it seems like it's more. There's more attention to. I feel like he's probably gotten a little bit tired from the old FNAF. That he's always trying to create something new. You know, trying to get people more involved. So I gotta be more creative, but at the same time, because peak horror FNAF, in my opinion, original, is probably FNAF 4. I heard that one is based on the fact that he used to have nightmares from his trauma. But then again, right now, I can't see anyone having nightmares about Security Breach. In fact, now that I look at it, I'm looking back on my fond memories with FNAF. The thing is, I was more scared in the first of those 4 or 5 games. And then Security Breach, I don't remember that much scary moments. But I remember all the frustrating moments, like the DJ chasing, the stupid maps, the dumb glitches, the weird mechanics that I don't know where to go. So take it with what you will. It became more of a rage game for me, and it got me so frustrated. Where in the first original FNAF, yes, I did get frustrated, but that was because I was trying to figure out what the mechanics are, and it was because it was stationary. I basically was like, oh, okay, this is how Chica comes in. This is how Bonnie moves. This is what how Freddy's needs to be, what I need to do to prevent Foxy or Freddy to come at me. That makes sense. But for this one, that's part of the fun. That's part of the mechanics. But in Security Breach, there was so much time where I was just wandering around like, where in the world do I go? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do here? Like, just trying to get back to Freddy, and you navigate through this big-ass complex of a mall. And it was getting frustrating minute by minute. But I think that's also part of the charm of Security Breach. And is that you're frustrated, but you're also scared. And I was more scared of not death, but more scared because I was, oh my god, I did not save. I don't want to do all that stuff again. That should never happen in a horror game.
And okay, so Secret of the Mimic, it's actually a lot better in that regard. Like, the map isn't very big. Like,
Okay.
you can definitely navigate through it. And it's definitely more scary, and there's more horror scenes. And
Alright.
yeah, it doesn't really have all those problems that Security Breach has.
Alright.
You know?
Alright. That sounds good. Then I look forward to it. And Willie is saying Guardian of Bonbon 6. I've played through that series. I played through 0 through whatever this latest one is. I'm still waiting on the latest one. Let me know when it's out. Just like Dark Deception, let me know when it is out. I would definitely pay for all this. I'd go get it. I'd probably go mow someone's lawn for it. No problem. Willie, believe me, I love all these indie games. Man, this is a really long ass time to cook potatoes. Oof. My arms is tired.
Definitely an interesting series. Like, it's definitely not as good looking as these other big horror titles, But I don't know, it has a charm to it, I feel. Ban Ban.
Ban Ban is more goofy than anything else. Did I find it scary? Not really. And it's like FNAF, but it takes the goofiness up way more than it is scary. What's scary is probably the just pitch darkness and not knowing what is going on. And I don't take the lore or any of the stories too seriously. So I don't know what is going on in that one, but I still enjoy some of the very simplistic puzzles that it provides. You know. Now, as for FNAF though, Secrets of the Mimic, I don't need it to be super good. I just need it to be good enough. And you guys saw my gameplay of Sister Location, right? The VR. And that was based on the OG FNAF. But I think it works really well because all the OG FNAFs are stationary. So in other words, you don't have the problem with motion sickness, right? Because you're just standing still and you don't... I can't explain it to you guys until you actually play VR. Motion sickness is really bad. And it varies depending on the person and the type of game that you play. So for this one, free roaming, but it's not as open or as big as Security Breach. This is what I'm hearing. So I'm gonna guess it's somewhere along the lines of maybe kind of like Poppy Playtime. You are able to free roam, but you're not. But it's still somewhat restricted. However, that also brings up another issue, which is that how do I say this? I honestly thought Poppy was gonna come to VR. I really did. But then again, I changed my mind a little bit because imagine if you were doing one of those chase scenes, right? Especially, let's say in Chapter 3 against Miss Daisy, where you have to... She basically is an endoskeleton, or excuse me, Endo from... you guys know Endo from FNAF, right? Where you have to look at you have to look at her to stop her from moving. All the while you're still trying to solve a puzzle. How are you going to do that with VR? That's going to give you... You're going to have to point your head from 180 degrees every other second, which makes it extremely frustrating and nauseating to play. So, is this one gonna be it? Maybe now that I'm talking about this, maybe I should not wait for the VR. But man, the VR makes such good content, though. Feel free to let me know your thoughts.
Okay, so I do agree there. I don't know how they would do that. Having you deal with a Weeping Angel style enemy in VR. That sounds kind of nuts.
I know. And if it's free roam, as you guys say, I assume there's going to be chasings. Depending on what chasing it is, if you're just like literally running in front, sometimes you need to be able to... And then there's also the camera issues. You know how in Security Breach there are some certain chasings where you have to... The camera forces you to look back? Yeah. That's an issue. And then automatically you have to turn your head around or your camera stick around and, you know, run the other way. How is that going to work with VR?
And actually, I think Secret of the Mimic has some of my favorite chase scenes in a horror video game. Like, I think they're really well executed.
Really? Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Because Chapter 4, Poppy Playtime, the chasing with Yarnaby, that was a snooze fest. That was one of the most boring... I'm sorry, I like Yarnaby. I like his design. But they did him dirty, okay? It was really... He was not hard to get out of. He was not even close. And I'm a pessimistic person, okay, guys? When I go into a game, I really don't have the best expectations for games. That's why if the game is able to prove me wrong, I'm happy about that. I actually prefer that, you know. And then there's also motion controls, but that could work itself out. So, and then if there's a VR, is it going to make the enemies more difficult or less difficult? You know, the drill and stuff. So now that I'm talking about this, it got me thinking: should I wait for the VR or should I not? I don't even have the date for it. You know, I don't even have the date for the when the VR comes out. So there's that. I mean, potatoes are done. You guys, the thing is, I need a blender.
And yeah, I think Chapter 4 could have handled its characters way better. Like, even with a character like the Doctor, who I adore as a character, and even with that, I think he could have used some more screen time.
The Doctor was a pretty weak villain. I didn't see enough of him, and the fact that he is an actual human, it kind of takes away some of the scariness factor. He's just like your typical, haha, I'm evil kind of guy. There's not much to him. I don't really remember much about his past. I don't have any connections to him. He's just pure evil, cartoonishly evil, and it took away. I didn't really take him all that seriously. I knew from the beginning that we're gonna have to fight Dowie because he's the mascot. It happens for the first 3 games, right? You see the mascot on there. That's the final boss. The only thing that I wonder is the prototype, but we already kind of got the silhouette of what he looks like. I'm surprised that he didn't take Dowie in the end. Spoiler, by the way.
Okay, so I think the reason that I like the Doctor that a lot is because I tend to I've been more familiar with his character from the start, and I know all the different lore bits, even the stuff that came from the ARG leading up to Chapter 4. So
then you had the advantage. Oh, you had an advantage then. You gotta. That's a little bit unfair to the regular players, wouldn't you say, Ned? I mean, yeah. That you can't expect me to go and read the lore before a game comes out. That's usually for like huge fans, well, not your average players or average fans, right? Can't expect me to do that.
Yeah. And that is completely understandable. I'm just saying that's why I have such a liking to the character, I think.
Not to mention the boss fight. If you guys remember the boss fight, spoiler alert, by the way, that was one of the most easiest and, I don't know, kind of boring boss fights. So if you don't know how to beat him, you're in this place and you have to go and activate 4 generators or something. But as you got 4 routes, right? You have to go through all these routes. First, I do like the fact that they give you a checkpoint. That's great. But the atmosphere is actually pretty good. It's pretty dark. But man, as you go in there, you have a flashlight, which doesn't really run out of battery, if you know what I mean. It has no. You can still use it even if you change hands, and all these robots that he controls can easily be outmaneuvered, easily. And then there's also a checkpoint for every time that you get one of those. You have to activate 4 charge or something. After that, there's an easy checkpoint. So it is more just running around. Anything else, and there's nothing. And every route was almost kind of the same, except one of them was you have to crouch, and that's it. It wasn't difficult, not very intuitive, very friendly in terms of difficulty. You know, Catnap, as much as I had an issue with him with his fight, it was at the very least intense. It made me pay attention. It made me sweat. It made me throw my controller down, and it made you use your different hands, your mechanics. The Doctor fight required nothing other than the flashlight. If the flashlight had some kind of battery, or maybe like it wasn't nearly as overpowered as it is, because you can see just fine with it, then maybe you can create some tension with it. But it was just not there. And then Mommy Longleg chasing. you have to use different arms, and then you have to grab onto different things to get away from her. Poppy, Poppy, I'm not gonna say much. Or excuse me, Huggy Wuggy is not. I'm not gonna say much because he's just the first boss, so he's a little bit lenient. And even then, he still chases you pretty well. So I'm sorry, but the Doctor is just too easy of a fight. Oh man, this guy's giving my arm a workout.
Yeah, and again, I'm completely fine with that. It's completely fair. I also do think the Doctor needed more. Like, even in the concept art, they had, like, plans to give him a bigger boss fight. And where, in the concept art, it showed him controlling these big robotic arm things.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that didn't make it into the game. And yeah.
God. And it wasn't exactly a puzzle, was it? Every one of these bosses previously were a puzzle. As in you have to click on this, do that. But the boss fight even Doey is a puzzle fight was kind of a once you figure it out, it's really not that bad. Catnap, the timing is like, oh, you got to use the flare to figure out which side he's coming from, and then you got to go to that side, change to the correct hands, either open this gate and then get the charges and all that stuff. You get to aim, and it was a pain in the ass because I did it on the controller. It was so hard for me. All right, this is pretty much done. Usually I use a blender, but I have my blender's all the way over there. Now all you have to do is just put butter in here. There you go.
And yeah, I think personally for me, despite all of the flaws, I'm content with what the Doctor was, at least.
Well, the thing is that I felt like the chapter was more like it was a little bit too long. As in, they get Doey in there, and they got the Doctor in there as well. And in order to justify the $20 price tag, they needed to stretch it out. Because Chapter 4 was more focused on lore than gameplay. That's how I feel. They wanted us to care about the orphanage, but we didn't spend enough time in there. And none of those, we felt bad because that's those are kids. But at the same time, we didn't spend enough time, and it's not like those kids helped us in any way. If you want me to get attached to those characters, then you're going to have to, make them work for it. Rather than just saying, these poor kids. It's not enough for me. Plus, they're toys. That's why in Chapter 4, the best part of that game is obviously Doey. Doey is undoubtedly the best option, the best thing in that chapter. I started out like not trusting him, and then he slowly grew on me, and then before long I realized that, oh, this guy's got different personalities. All right, what was I gonna do? All right, let's cook the pork chops next.
I love Doey as well. I think he stands out a lot from the rest of the cast that we've seen, because obviously he's
actually a good guy. Technically a good guy.
And has different personalities, and I think his concept is cool, and I also really do like his design. Both his regular design and the more salamander creature design he takes on in the boss fight.
Green. I like his personality a lot, and I think there's 3 of them. One is a happy, goofy guy, one's a psycho, and then the other one is like a very caring, good guy, And I like that about him. And you can't tell. It's not like he changes color based on his personalities. That one was really cool. And you know what? In the entire time, I was actually agreeing with Doey, because with Poppy, who's keen on stopping all this, but it really feels like it's out of revenge than anything else. But where Doughy is more like, I just want to save everyone, just leave everyone out of this. And I so wanted to like just no, I'm not gonna follow you, Poppy. I'm gonna follow a Doughy instead. That would make more sense. And in fact, I really thought that Doughy would help us in a fight or something, but it never happened. God damn it! I hate cutting on. I wish I had my good knife.
But yeah, I really there's like you said at some point. I think you also maybe said in this conversation. I think chapter 4 is really strong on the story and even some of the characters and what they have going on in the background. Especially with like Poppy and Doughy. Like I think that part is really great.
However, is there a butt in there? You gotta give me give it some, you know. Unfortunately, I like Poppy playtime, not just because of the story. The story is engaging, is you know, it's there. But I thought Poppy was so good because I really enjoy the mechanics of using different arms to solve puzzle. Is it the most original thing? No, but it's there. It's some of those puzzles got me stumped a few times. But in chapter 4, just like the horror element, it took a back seat to the story, and that was something that I did not enjoy. All right, if you guys don't know what I'm doing, I'm cooking the fat out. You start on the low heat and then gradually moving to medium heat to melt the fat. This is why you really don't need to put much oil in here. And because this is a pork loin, it's a lean piece of meat, so you don't want to overcook it. By the way, you guys might think I'm crazy, but I eat my pork chopped like this, medium well, so slightly pink. You guys might think that's crazy, but that is actually how a professional chef prefers their pork chops. And as long as you're living in a country that has good quality pork, then it's fine. If you're living in one of those not developing countries, then yeah, you need to cook it well done. Pork chop, I don't know why it's not as popular, but maybe because, I don't know, people don't prefer pork. Maybe they think it's bad, but in my opinion, this is like a poor man's steak. It's only delicious if you cook it right. Because so many times I went to people's place and even restaurants to an extent, they overcook the pork because it has to be well done. It doesn't have to be the case. All you have to think about it is that it just needs to be tender and juicy, and there's not much to a pork chop. And Asians, we love pork, but we would never eat pork like this, though. This is more of a European thing.
And yeah, I do personally prefer chapter 3 way more as well. Like, even though I don't really get scared by horror, I can still recognize very well done spooky atmosphere, and chapter 3 just does that perfectly.
Oh yeah. There's also a lot of change in scenery, Ned. Don't you remember? There's the mansions, there's the school, and then finally with the gas factory. But in chapter 4, I don't remember much. It's just they're all inside a mine, like underground mine, and then you got these Auschwitz-looking prisons, and that's pretty much it. It wasn't. And eventually, I got bored of it. You know.
Yes, that is another thing that I agree with. There's definitely way less variety in environments there. I think chapter 3 has the most locations out of any of the chapters so far.
Exactly, and I gladly pay $20 for chapter 3. Chapter 4 was just easy, kind of repetitive with the puzzles, and just dragging it on for too long. That's it. Julian is saying, you remember your friend undercooked pork while you were at school camp? Nothing bad happens? Well, he's lucky then. pork is definitely something you do not want to undercook. It could lead to some bad jujus, okay? Bacterias and parasites and stuff. I mean, depending on what country you are in, our pork is fine, but I still would not eat it raw. You could easily get food poisoning. Chicken is the only, obviously the only protein that you eat without being well done. Pork, if it's mildly like pale pink, that to me is the perfect temperature. But if it's overcooked, as in like well done, I can still eat it. It just has to be juicy and tender, which is a lot harder to do with a very lean piece of meat. Now everyone got poisoning. You didn't eat anything? No, everyone got poisoned, food poisoning. Jeez. Oh man, ugh. That's an act of terrorism right there, I guess. You guys should have checked it. If you chew pork in your mouth and it just feels raw, spit it out immediately, okay? Never ever keep eating. All right, let's see.
And I also feel another thing I feel that I'm kind of split on is the characters, because I feel like Chapter 3 has, like, I like the characters from that chapter more, but then again, there are also Chapter 4 characters I really like, so I'm not sure. But I still do really like the characters from both chapters. Especially characters like Joey and Miss Delight.
Yes,
Really...
I agree. There's only a few characters, and most of them are bad guys, right? Doey was an ally until the end, and then Poppy questionable, but Miss Delight, or excuse me, not Miss Delight. What is it? Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Missy. I would say Doey is my favorite, but after this chapter, I would say I just want Kissy Missy to survive. Even though she doesn't speak, she seems like such a good-hearted friend. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Kissy Missy.
Yeah, I think Kissy is... I think they're great as well. Like, I think Poppy Playtime has like a bunch of pretty neat characters, like both ones that are after us and trying to help us. Like, I think Mob Entertainment has done great at making characters.
I think that characters is what ultimately makes good stories. If you look at all the movies and TV shows and games that I like, when you say they have a great story, is it really because the plot is like super engaging? Usually the plot is very simple, but the characters are the ones that has depth, you know? For example, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Game of Thrones. I hope you guys know what that is, at least, right?
Yes,
maybe you guys are... Huh?
I do know what that is.
Okay.
It's a TV show.
It's a TV show, and I can tell you the plot right now. The plot is basically a bunch of different houses in this kingdom full of magic and wizardry and whatever. A couple of big houses, big houses, fight each other for power. Not knowing that the true enemy lies in the north, where the death comes to life to take all life away. There, I just summarized the entire theme of Game of Thrones. But what makes it interesting is that the characters themselves of the like Cersei, Tyrion Lannister, Ned Stark, they are some of the most compelling characters I've seen. And like, for example, Cersei is a very bad person. She's an absolute C-U-N. I'm not going to spell it out, but you get what I mean. And Ned is an honorable guy. But there are so much more layers to these guys rather than just your typical good guys and bad guys. They make terrible decisions sometimes. But you know what? In a Game of Thrones, as they say, you win or you die. And that's what makes it so fascinating. And when I watch that series, it's the interaction between them. Their ideological differences clashes with one another. As I'm doing this horrible thing for my family. And then the other guys, like the heroes, say, well, that's not very honorable, but it leads to a lot of people dying. So which one is it? So it creates a very compelling argument for both sides. Which do you think is better, simple characters but complex stories, or the other way around? Definitely the other way around. Name something that has a very complex story, that has good, simple characters. Marvel. Marvel has very simple characters, but a very complex ass story. I can't tell what is going on right now with Marvel and their stories. With the multiverse, dimensions of who's winning, who's not. I really don't know what is going on anymore. This is just Marvel, but not the. That said, it's Marvel. The not the comics. I never read the comics. There's a difference, okay?
I do agree with that. I think characters are very vital to a story, and there's a lot of the stories from games I enjoy. I like the character. I typically enjoy the characters a lot. Like, for example, William Afton from FNAF.
Yes.
I think, like, characters like him I really enjoy. Like, his whole thing. Even though not really much is known about him.
That's the point, though. That's the point.
Yeah.
But he's... yeah. But then you get the most interesting character to me in FNAF is really Michael Afton. He is responsible for the death of his brother, isn't he? For playing a cruel-ass joke. Yeah. He is. He's responsible for that. But the shame and the guilt that he felt towards it, that's character depth. He doesn't need to be too complex. In my opinion, William Afton is just a little bit on the stereotypical Disney kind of villain. I don't know, something like he wants eternal life because he found the souls of children. Like, dude does that or something. I'm not so sure about that. The other one is that he's very jealous of Henry. That's also kind of understandable. But overall, there's not much to him. He's just a very selfish and eventually became evil guy. That's it.
Yeah. I think series like FNAF is full of some really great characters. Like, I think that all of the, or at least most of the Aftons, I really enjoy as characters. Like Elizabeth, Michael, William, and yeah, I don't know what to say. I just really like the characters and enjoy what they have going.
You don't have to explain to me why you like characters. You just like them. I like bad characters as well. As in Game of Thrones, my favorite character is probably Tywin Lannister. He is an absolute brutal dictator. Yet he gets things done. And he has some hardcore one-liners. He's terrible to his children. Absolutely brutal to his enemies. Genocidal guy. Yet at the same time, he does it for his family, for peace or whatever. He's basically Machiavelli. And that's what I like. It's like, I can't argue. You can question his method, but his motive, I was like, I mean, I kind of understand. I disagree, but I understand. So I can't hate him that much. I hate what he's done. You guys, once you guys get, I don't know how old you guys are, but once you get to other characters like other TV shows, so some of my favorites probably Dexter, back when it was actually good. All these right now, if you guys are only watching like Five Nights at Freddy's, maybe they don't need to be as complex as it is. But the thing is that what makes it great is if there's a villain, what makes a great villain is that you question his action, but you can also understand his or her motive. It's like a tragic figure or whatever. Where a great hero is also like, okay, you understand his actions, but you can also kind of question his motive as well. Why are you doing this? So, Oh, by the way, guys, Shuyan, I'm gonna show you a trick. This is one of I was taught in school. You take a toothpick and you plunge it into like the thickest part of the steak that you want to eat for just like 2-3 seconds. Put it up to your nose or your upper lip right here. If it's hotter than your body temperature, you can kind of say, okay, then it's on the way to the temperature that you want. If it's warm or colder than your upper lip, that means it's undercooked and it still needs more time. So this is done, by the way. I'm just gonna let it rest. And in the meantime, I'm gonna cook the other stuff. So there's a tip for you guys. If you ever want to cook chicken, it's the same thing. Say that again, Ned.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Sorry, I interrupted you, Ned. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I think the reason I enjoy characters like William is just the concept of this normal father descending into madness and becoming this psycho that experiments with spirits and hallucinogenic gas and finds a way to come back as a half-human, half-animatronic hybrid, still hell-bent on completing his goals and going up against his son Michael, who has also been reanimated like him and wants to stop him.
It goes with that phrase really well, Ned. It's called, if you want to see what is it? What is it called again? If you want to see what a man is like, give him power. You know? You give him freedom, give him power, and it's like that there's that saying, money doesn't change people. It just reveals who they really are. The same thing with power reveals what kind of person you are. So, if you were suddenly won, let's say, $1 billion, would you all of a sudden go ballistic and go buy hundreds of cars and a mansion and splurge and like go Girls Gone Wild or whatever? Or are you gonna, like, for me, I'm not gonna do that. I would just probably invest it. I still enjoy the simple stuff in life. So that's why I as you say, Ned, it makes William interesting because I don't think he was born evil, right? I don't think he was born like that. He just found something that leads to eternal life, or that gives him power. And he was also jealous of someone who was more talented than him, which is also understandable, right? That actually makes him, I don't know about relatable, but definitely understandable. Rather than just him born evil and he's just like, ha ha ha, I'm going to rule the world kind of bit. So that makes more sense.
I also think it's cool that, like, what he would become, like him falling after dying to his own suit, the same suit that he used to kill the kids.
Ironic, right? Poetic.
Yeah, and then becoming even bigger of a monster in a literal sense of being this, again, human animatronic hybrid. Which is actually a pretty common trope if you think about it. This serial killer dying and then coming back as something
worse,
more strong.
Yep. But hey, it works. It's a formula that works, right? We are doomed to repeat the past. We are doomed to repeat our mistakes. There's a reason why stereotypes exist. It's because it works, and it's relatable. You think that maybe William Afton, and there's also because of money. You know, you want him to come back, right? I don't think they will ever let William Afton rest in peace, because how can you make a villain that's worse than that? I read in Security Breach that I think the Pizzaplex was funded by his wife, and it just goes down to the rabbit hole of like Oh man, here we go again. Michael is obviously innocent. Elizabeth died. The youngest, I forgot his name, he died. And then so you got who's left? If William is dead, then his wife is trying to resurrect him. That was like, okay, come on. You can come up with something a little bit more original than that.
Okay,
And that's where
so
Security Breach kind of lost me. I was like, oh really? You're gonna do that? You're just gonna continue the the Afton. You just could not let this family rest, can you?
technically speaking, William is dead, and I I'm sure you've heard about the Mimic. I mean, they are the namesake of the newest game.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Don't.
and they have pretty much filled that role as the new villain, and they originated from the newest book series.
But
And
are
have
they as
voiced-
interesting as William Afton, though? That's what I wonder.
Okay, personally, I don't think like I'm as invested as the Mimic's like character and lore.
There you go.
Obviously, I know pretty much all of it, but I do personally prefer what William had going on. But I still do think the Mimic is an alright villain to take on, and I'm curious what they're going to do with him after Secret of the Mimic, because
Is-
they're definitely not done.
Isn't the Mimic the one that Cassie ran into at the end of her playthrough in Ruin? That's the one, right?
Yes.
Alright.
Yes, it's essentially, from what we know, a endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume it wants and mimic voices. Like, that's its whole gimmick. and
Yeah,
what
but
it
I
is.
was honestly surprised by that. The fact that Gregory is just gonna let uh, Cassie die like that. I was like, YOLO, you only live once, big girl. Sorry, you made a mistake. Bye bye. It's your fault. That was kind of intriguing to me.
There's actually a theory that that was also the mimic, but no one really knows. Just
Don't
speculate.
spoil me on this, but Secrets of the Mimic. Is it gonna be set in back in time?
Yes.
Oh yeah. God,
Wait,
I guess. Okay. I just said don't ruin it for me. Don't answer this, but I was like, okay. I guess it is set back in time. All right.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just so excited to yap about this game when you play it. That's going to be fun.
I'm
That's
sure.
going to be fun.
I'm sure it's gonna be. It'll be fun. I'm sure it's gonna be fun. All right. So, here's my pork chop. It took a lot longer than I liked, but it is what it is. Now I'm just gonna make a sauce. Damn, I want to eat this so bad. Oh yeah, I forgot the salt. Whatever. Alright.
Also, you want to know something kind of interesting regarding Help Wanted 2 and Into the Pit? And
Sure.
a little bit of Ruin. Okay, so this actually goes back to what we learn in FNAF 4. You know, when we learn Michael accidentally killing his brother. And if you go back to that, there were actually 4 kids in the incident. Michael and his friends, who all donned character masks of the original 4. Michael wearing the Foxy mask and his 3 other friends wearing a Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy mask.
Yep, I remember that.
Well, in the recent games, Help Wanted 2 and Ruin, we learn about Cassie's father, who is linked to the Bonnie character. Like, we learned that was his favorite character, and in Help Wanted 2, we supposedly play as Cassie's father, and there is a Bonnie mask that is familiar to him that you can find. And people, after seeing this, would come to the conclusion that Cassie's dad was one of Michael's friends back in the incident. And in Into the Pit, you can find a Freddy mask that supposedly would belong to Oswald's father, making him supposedly also one of Michael's friends during the incident, the one that wore the Freddy mask. So they're slowly revealing each of the bullies and what they would become afterwards.
I see. That makes sense. All right, guys. This is not exactly professional looking. This is what the best I can do with the stove and the minimalistic, equipment that I have. Trust me, it tastes really good. It tastes really good. This sauce is good. Just a bit of pork fat, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of honey, and salt and pepper. That's it. And as you can see, the pork is cooked perfectly. I cooked it a little bit longer just in case I don't want you guys to get squeaky with too pink. But yeah, I can see that it's glistening. That means this is juicy and tender. I can tell. Yep. And that's it. Pretty good meal, right?
Yeah, it looks pretty solid, I think.
Mashed potato. The only thing I'm not happy about is the mashed potato, but because I don't have my blender. Gotta understand that. Otherwise, I blend it to make it smooth. I don't have my blender right now, so that's the best I can do. It looks like a little bit like grits, but it's got interesting texture. I want to eat some. Okay. Yeah. Mom. Oh, great. She's not home. She went out. Anyways. Well, Shuyan, it was really good to finally have you on the show, or you coming into these Just Chatting streams. Feel free to put whatever subject on here if you like. And as you said, Last Airbender was your favorite show when you were young. Fortunately, I've never seen it. I don't know why. I heard so many good things about it, but I've never seen one episode. Perhaps just one of these days I'll give it a shot. Nad, you ever seen The Last Airbender?
I think only like an episode or two, but I never really got into it. I'm not incredibly big on TV in general. To be honest.
I think that's because you guys are growing up in the internet age, where you guys probably watch more YouTube than anything else. Back in the day, we actually had to watch channels and stuff with commercials, actual commercials we cannot skip through. But it was a fun time, and just don't watch the live action movie. Watch the show. Trust me, there's something about live action anime that kind of pisses me off. The only time I've subjugated myself to that was actually in Dragon Ball, the live action Dragon Ball Z one. I think you guys heard of it. It's pretty infamous, and it was Dragon Ball Evolution. That's what it was called. I watched it at my friend's house. Okay, I was not gonna pay money to see it, but we saw it as we can make fun of it. But guess what happened? We were so pissed off at how bad it is that we didn't have any jokes. We were both just angry of how shitty it was. And now that Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, passed away, the actor who played Goku, forgot his name, actually publicly apologized for ruining his work. That's how bad it was. But then again, I don't blame any of the actors or the actresses. They were just given a script, and in fact, it was more about the Hollywood and the money-grubbing people that are responsible. Just yes, but don't watch any of it. Maybe there are some good live anime adaptations, but I've never seen them. Anime should just stay anime. Anime to me has always been over exaggeration and stuff. Imagine Goku powering up. Looks great, looks cool. turn Goku into a real life person, he looks absolutely ridiculous and stupid. It's like someone screaming at taking a dump. You don't, just letting you know, guys. When you're in a fight, you don't get more powerful by screaming. Okay, it's just gonna tire you out, and there's not gonna be some kind of some kind of like magical power that makes you automatically twice as strong. The power of friendship does not exist in those scenarios. Okay, hopefully you guys realize that. I tried it when I was little. When I was playing basketball. Doesn't work. And thank goodness it was still in elementary, and I don't think anyone knew about it till now, of course. Anyways, oh man, tomorrow I will be playing Five Nights at Wario's 4, and then I'm just gonna be telling you this, that I'll probably be playing the original off stream, just because Deflect says I have to play the original, even though I already played it. I think it's the fact that he wants to get the save files together, and if I play the deluxe version, it doesn't work, which kind of pisses me off. So I won't be streaming it. I'll be playing it off stream. And so tomorrow, Five Nights at Wario's, if I was able to get through it. After that, Terraria, because Seabass would not stop bothering me about it. And then I'll be playing Deltarune, as you say, Julian.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you want to watch it though, because I don't know if you played Deltarune. I could spoil it for you.
I'll be lurking if I haven't seen anything of it by then.
Have you finished watching Undertale?
Not yet, but I would like to get back to that very soon.
Yeah, definitely should do it before I play Deltarune, just because there's so many references in there. Even some of the ones that I don't really. You know, I might not watch it because you don't want spoilers. I understand. It makes sense. Feel free to watch it afterwards then, Julian. But what other games should I play though? You guys might not find this as entertaining, but I find this to be really fun. Just talking and cooking really eases my head. It clears my mind a lot. And for games, I don't know. I might have to start going back to Roblox just because so many people have been requesting me to play on it. I don't know whether it's not because people want me to play it, or is it because people just want to play games with me. But I'm a pretty short streamer. But yeah, hopefully this wasn't too bad of a stream for you guys. You guys enjoyed the talk? Julian, Ned, or whoever else is here?
Pretty solid.
Yeah. It's nothing like over the hype, but I think I'm going to play a little bit more extra games, and then this is like more once or twice a week, you know, just to catch up on things. Because there's not enough. I don't live on Twitter. I don't live on Reddit. I don't even have a Reddit account. And I'm only on Twitter because when I started streaming, I thought I had to. I barely posted anything. I haven't even looked back on it. So then we can, if there's anything y'all want to discuss, gaming related, that'd be great. It's all good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming in. I love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Five Nights at Wario's. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.